Have you ever wondered what it would be like to get away from it all? To get away from the noisiness of a busy city filled with obnoxious honks and horrible people? Today I will be discussing with you the steps you can take not only to begin to survive in these harsh conditions of the backcountry, but to thrive in them as well, and to become self-efficient. While gathering this information I have for you today on how to successfully become self-sustainable living off the grid, I stuck to websites I knew were well-known and credible. For example, Rocket Mortgage Real Estate. It has been around since 1985. They've been building their reputation to be known as a safe, trustworthy organization. And a good source of information. In addition to that, I also used a website called EcoShack, which is a well-versed website and very knowledgeable in sustainably living off the grid. Lastly, I utilized a more recent article published on July of 2022. This website confirmed what the other websites have stated, as well as giving additional information as to why people should live off the grid. Living off the grid isn't for everyone. It's not everyone's dream. However, I do feel as though it should be considered by everyone due to the benefit of Earth and humanity itself and how good it is for your own human mind. It can be challenging, however, to start sustainably living on your own. For instance, you will need to find land, food, water, and power. Unless you already own land and have access and permission to build on that land you are trying to live on. You might have to buy a piece of land to start homesteading. Just bite the bullet and buy a piece of land. However, when you're looking for that piece of land, you'll need to look for a highly dense area filled with trees, not only because you will have a lot of materials to build your house out of, but the trees will be a good protection from the elements as well. The place you choose to live will need a source of food whether that be wild animals such as deer, hogs, birds, etc., or a good soil foundation for a farm to plant fruits and veggies. Once you purchase your plot of land, it's time to start the brute work. Most importantly, you will need to establish a safe place for you to live in your new home. In addition, you will need to either locate or build a reliable source of water that will sustain you. You will have to consider what would be best for you when building your house, whether to build your own cabin out of the trees and all the resources you have around you, like the mini homesteaders to come before you, or whether you buy an already pre-manufactured house, such as a tiny home, a yurt, or a shed, or something along those lines. You will need to determine your water source very quickly, however. You will need to either look for a natural source of water on your land that you can take back to your home, for example, a pond where you can gather water from. However, the only thing with that is you will need to boil the water before drinking or consuming it, as to not get sick from all the amoebas and the nasty stuff swimming around the water, unclean water. Or you could gather rainfall and harvest the water that falls from the sky. This way it's already clean and you wouldn't have to boil this water before consumption. And another possible solution, if you have the monetary fund, or if you have the funds to do it, you could dig a well and tap straight into the underground water sources. While building your new home, you will need to develop a power source as well. Along with that, you will need reliable and healthy food sources, whether that be in gardening or livestocking or hunting and gathering. Developing your food supply and establishing a power system is the last step. There is a plethora of ways to establish a food source, from having a small livestock such as chickens for eggs and meat, or from building a garden on your good fertile soil to ensure maximum food growing ability. You can also gather food from hunting game animals such as deer, elk, or boars, or other animals. However, you will need to make sure whatever you are trying to hunt is in season, seeing as how certain animals can only be harvested during a certain time of the year. However, with that being said, you can freeze the meat you get from the animal that you hunted in that season and eat it year-round. Or you could just go fishing, or you could just buy a fishing pole, go fishing, which is usually allowed year-round in most places. In my personal opinion, I feel like it would be wise to consider all three of these things, so that way you 1000, or you maximize your food growing and your food harvesting capabilities. And lastly, you'll need to establish a power source. The most effective methods for generating your own electricity is by using renewable energy sources such as solar panels. They're widely embraced by the off-grid communities because they allow for the conversion of sunlight into usable energy that can power your homes. You can also think about wind turbines to gather power, and harness the power of the wind and the energy that comes from that. Or if you're lucky enough to have running water on your land, you may want to go with hydroelectricity, which is another viable option for you. Whichever option you choose, however, you will need to buy excess batteries to store the excess power for when you can't get to the energy source. In order to successfully live off the grid and sustain yourself, you will need to have dedication and determination. You will need to build a new home for yourself, locate reliable water sources, and produce healthy and safe food to produce a power source to keep everything running. And to produce a power source to keep everything running. Sustainable living off the grid will not come easily or naturally to anyone. However, the benefits of Earth and humanity are worth the hard work.